actually goes live. All right, there it is. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Eric Tries Too Hard podcast. This week I have Derrick Murray. Derrick, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
That's my radio voice that I use for the first 10 seconds of the podcast, and then I abandon it completely and just get completely unprofessional. But so
Oh,
you're
that's.
no, go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say you always wanna start strong. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah, and
yeah.
it's very similar to sex. That first 10 seconds, like it's like, yeah, I'm
Oh,
gonna give this my all, and then no.
open, open strong, close strong. Doesn't matter what happens in the middle. That's
Or how short the middle is. Um,
right.
you want to, yeah. Oh man. All right. So I do this. Hold on. I also have it open on YouTube, which means there's a huge delay, so I just turn that off. Anyway, I don't edit shit in this podcast, and I'm always woefully unprepared with the electronics. But I did come prepared watching your stand-up, which I'm very happy about because you're actually really, really good. How long have you been doing stand-up?
Oh well, thank you, man. I've been doing stand-up. It'll actually be 3 years in May.
Nice. That's really. Well, I would have thought you were doing it for a lot more. That's my typical range of people I have on. I've been doing it from like 2 to 6 years, and you definitely sounded really like you know what your voice is. You know what your. I mean, obviously you're going to keep developing it, but like it sounds like you're very. You know what you're supposed to sound like on stage. You know how to make your jokes your own, from what I can tell.
Oh well, thank you, man. I kind of cheated though. Like I did like musical theater and theater.
Yeah.
I was like a youth pastor for a while.
You went the
So
Pete Holmes route.
yeah, I did actually. Yeah, Pete Holmes is one of my favorites because of that.
Yeah.
Uh, share that similar life. But yeah, so I kind of feel like, and he said this before too, but like the skills it takes to be a youth pastor are exactly the same it takes to be a comedian. The
Oh,
only thing that's
absolutely.
different is content. That's it. That's all that changes.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. It's short version of the story. I once saw Pete Holmes bomb in front of about 10 people at my college in 2007.
yeah.
And, it was, and there was one joke he told. I loved it. I remembered it for like the rest of my life. And then about 2 years ago, I was just listening to one of his records, and I was like, "Holy shit, that was that guy!" Looked up his schedule. Turns out there it was, Elon University, like November 2007. But yeah,
Wow.
great dude. Love that guy. Anyway, I say that like I fucking know him. Like,
Oh
great.
yeah, no, me and Pete, we go way back.
Yeah. Well, I don't know yeah, how if you listen to his podcast and how frequently, but he just had Rob Hubel on, and he was telling stories about selling stuff on Craigslist, going like, "I'm comedian Pete Holmes. Will you buy my couch?" And like it's been really easy for him to sell shit. And I know you're from California, and so I was like, you could get on Craigslist, try to meet him.
I would buy Pete Holmes' couch.
Dude, I'd buy, yeah. Holy shit. Okay, so speaking of which, you are from California. So what part are you from?
I am from the Inland Empire, so I live in Ontario, California, which is it's about
Just
maybe.
tell me how far away that is from LA.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I usually this is what I do. I'll give the actual city, and then I'll tell you how far it is from Pasadena, and then I'll tell you how far it is from LA.
Do it.
That's usually how I gauge. So it's about 25 miles away from Pasadena, and it's about 35 to 40 miles from LA. So it's
Oh,
about an
okay.
hour drive.
Yeah. So you are my first California comic on my podcast. I've had shit ton of Baltimore. That's where I'm from. It's where I have access to. I've done a good number of New York comics because they're right there, easy transplant city, and a couple of scattered elsewhere. But you are my first California one. And that's really cool. So I want to know, what's it like I have a good idea of what it's like to do a lot of East Coast open mics. What is it like out there on the left coast?
So in LA is probably the worst place you could ever start
I hear
comedy.
that a lot. Yeah.
It is just the worst. Like it's the place you want to go when you're ready to go to LA. That's when you want to go. So there's like I feel like there's a kind of hit, I don't know. I feel like part of it is it sucks because every open mic in LA is technically a showcase or an audition,
Mhm.
and everybody's going for the same thing. So there's never really like when you go to open mics in LA, you have to be good or you're shit. There's
Yeah.
no You don't get to work out, you don't get to really kind of develop your skills because everyone in LA is supposedly important.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, fair.
but on the
I
flip side
guess.
of that, like because everybody in LA is a comic and everybody in LA is working and everybody's trying to get the very small sliver of good spots that are there, it forces you to get better quick.
Hmm.
You don't get a lot of time to kind of, you know, fuck around and kind of mess around with, like, if you want to do it, you get good or you get out. There's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
kind of in between. So
That's and this is gonna be the weirdest fucking. I've been a musician forever, and I usually compare stuff like band stuff to comic stuff and see the differences and similarities.
oh
But
sure.
for that example you just gave, that taps into my unbelievably nerdy hobby of playing Magic cards, and where on a competitive level, like I've got some friends who are like borderline pros who make their living off this fucking children's card game. It's insane. But like
Really? A
they're
job?
oh yeah, yeah. It's you make well it's like at this point the average age is not children. It's like college to like 30. And if you're right
Yeah.
in there, it's like they'll play it's like if you are a little too nerdy for poker tournaments, you play Magic. That's kind of how it goes now. But like
Nice.
there were places where you could go to play depending on what area you were in. You could go play at the store where everybody sucks and you could be king, or you could go to the place where everything's cutthroat and everybody's real fucking good, and like you said, you get good or you get out. And
Right.
and it was the closest thing to like an objective. Are you good at this or are you not? As you could get.
Yeah.
Because I know
For
artists
sure.
lie to
And
themselves
people will
all the
tell
time. Yeah.
you. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah. Well, that's really cool. All right. So I stalked the shit out of your Facebook and your YouTube. So did it say you were born in LA and then you moved, or what's that? Yeah.
No, I was born in Stockton, so I was born in Northern California.
Okay.
And then I've lived down here pretty much my whole life. I lived up north in Santa Rosa, which is just above San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Lived up there for about a year when I was a youth pastor, and then when I came back, I've just lived in the LA area pretty much all my life.
Okay. So I was. This means nothing. I was born in LA and then moved away, and I've not been back since. And like, it's just it's this weird like. I don't know, this weird symbolic thing of just like I can't wait to go back, hopefully to see some comics and shit. But like, I don't know, it's this weird connection that I have because my family lived out there for like 20 years, and so it was just weird to know that there was this area that they were very familiar with, and that's where they lived, and I have no fucking connection to that. I think I saw my one memory of living there because I moved when I was 4. My one memory was going to see the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And so it's like, oh, yeah. So like that was impactful to me. But no. But anyway, so okay, I want to ask you. So you've been doing stand up for 3 years, and you're actually older than me. You're like the one person I've talked to older than me. Thank God. So you started at what, 28?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 31. So yeah, I started at 20, probably 28, 29, 28. Yeah.
So
that sounds about.
So what made you start? Like what made you start at that point?
One of my old friends, everybody used to tell him, "Oh, you should be a comic. You should be a comic. You should be a comic." And so he's like, "You know what? I'm gonna do it." And so he went to this really shitty open mic out in Long Beach, and
I see where this is going. By the way, this is fucking tell me, yeah.
So he got up and just ate shit.
Yeah.
Like, was awful. Like he's a conversationalist. He's not a comic.
That's why I do a podcast.
Yeah. So I watched him do that, and then thought, "Oh, I could do this." Like,
I knew it. Fuck.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened. And then I went to that open mic and did like my first 5 minutes, which is
you just kill.
Oh yeah, I murdered. I destroyed.
Dude, that makes me so happy, but so miserable at the same time. Because I'm that musician who worked so hard and then watch like some 18-year-old like fall ass first into like a hit. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
So I did really well, and then I got booked at this local club that's kind of, it's a local club with this booker. He's mostly a bringer booker, but he booked me. I did like 7 minutes instead of 5, and then like 2 weeks later I did like 15.
Wow. Jesus.
No idea how it happened. Don't
Dude,
ask.
what
I
did
have
you wait?
no
Also,
clue.
well, not just how it happened. What? Because I think that I mean that's rare, but that sometimes happens. But what did you do for 15 minutes? Crowd work? Just the first 15 minutes you ever wrote? Like, what did you do?
No, it was the first 15 minutes I ever wrote. I did a lot of Chris Rock pacing.
I didn't even notice that when I was watching your videos. But now
Oh
that
yeah,
you
the
mention it,
old videos of mine. I've since stopped it, but like the very first videos of mine, I don't know why. I'm pacing outside of the camera. Like I have like the frame can't even fit me in. Weird awkward
the
pacing,
frame
closing
can't even
forward,
handle me
all
right
that
now.
stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. But yeah, I honestly, man, I had a bunch of ideas and I just wrote them all out, and
Yeah.
then I had a bunch of friends there to support me, so it wasn't like it wasn't like a real crowd killer, but yeah, and then ever since then I've just kind of done it. I just kind of hit the ground running. I worked with that guy for a long time, and then learned that bringers are awful.
Yep.
Uh,
We call those pay to play in the music world.
oh yeah, no, that's exactly what they are. Yeah, they're pay to play. So yeah, and then I've just kind of just done it ever since.
Dude, that's awesome. So okay, so going back way further, this is really interesting because you got like so what was that? When did you first I guess experience stand up in a way that made you go? Well, let me ask you this first. I'm being presumptuous. Were you a big stand up fan before you did it?
Yes,
Okay.
I loved stand up. I memorized Eddie Murphy Delirious
Yeah.
in high school to where you could just say any word and I would just go. I'd do the whole thing.
Yep. 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 Yep.
So
Yeah.
I loved Eddie Murphy. I loved George Carlin. And then as I got older, I started watching even people before that. So I started watching, Richard Pryor and Bill Hicks and those kinds of guys. But I've always been a fan of stand-up. Like I used to watch Comic View like way back in the
Oh yeah,
day.
holy shit! Oh my
Yeah,
god, I love Comic View, and only. I mean, I loved when Comedy Central existed. I was like, wait, I was a little kid. I was 3 years younger than you at the time whenever that came out, like the '90s. And I remember
yeah,
watching it and be like, this is just a channel because it was all stand up at the time. This is a
yeah.
channel where
That's it.
people are just going to tell me jokes to make me laugh. This is the greatest invention of mankind. Like
It
this is
was awesome. I would
amazing.
watch when I was sick at home. I would just watch Comic View marathons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd see like young D.L. Hewley and young
Dino
Cedric.
Hughley is fucking so talented. Period.
Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, I've always been a huge fan of stand up. I love stand up hours. And I stand up is just great. I've always been a fan of it.
So what do you remember the exact moment? And considering you said Eddie Murphy first, I would bet that was probably the one where you were like, this form of entertainment is different for some reason. Something transcends just real life with this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it was either Eddie Murphy or there's three people that I think they're just three of my favorite hours. So Eddie Murphy Delirious, Robin Williams live on Broadway, which for me I remember watching it because I was always a Robin Williams fan in film, and then I remember watching live on Broadway, and I'd never really seen him do stand up
Yeah.
before, and I just remember him channeling all of the things you've seen him do in movies on stage, and I was like, holy shit, like this is nuts. Like this guy gets paid to do this. Like this is
Yeah.
what he does. And then Eddie Izzard is another one.
Yeah.
Uh,
Really? Oh, that's interesting. I don't get that
yeah,
name a lot. Yeah.
I don't have my stand-up style is nothing like any of those guys
Yeah.
actually. But yeah, Eddie Izzard. I remember the first time I watched Dress to Kill. And I just remember like, oh, the guy just gets to go on stage in a dress and talk about whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And just not have any flow or rhyme or reason to what he's doing. It's just stream of consciousness. That's awesome. I want to do that.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Oh, and how old were you around those times? Like when you first got into it as a fan?
Um, I was pretty young. I'd probably say, I mean, I started watching Comic View at maybe 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And then Delirious I found around that time, probably around 14, 15 or so. So yeah, I mean, mostly not that young, but like really through, let's say middle school all the way through high school and up is probably when it started.
Yeah. Well, that is pretty. I mean, that is pretty young. Like, I definitely relate to that as getting into it really young. But I mean, most people like it's so funny because I think about like bands or comedians I got into. And I was like, I got into them kind of late. They had already been famous for about a year. But most people
Yeah,
don't get into comics or bands until way late in their career or way late into like high school. So like
sure.
it's compared to other comedians that's considered late. But I think the general populace that's really early. When you're watching stand up and you don't get a fair amount of the jokes because there's
Yeah,
no way your life experience would, you got into it early. I
yeah.
remember
I
watching
can agree. I do that.
yeah, yeah.
But plus two, like I said, I've always been a performer. So for me, like I've always been on stage since I was a kid. Like
Oh, yeah,
I've
tell me
done
about it. Was it all
theater.
musical theater? What was the first thing you did?
I did a bunch of stuff. So when I was a kid, I did a lot of musical theater. I did a lot of just normal theater. I did drama in high school. I was in choir all throughout high school and some college. I was in a band for a while. I led worship. So I've just always enjoyed being in front of people
Yeah.
doing stuff. So I just always loved performing. And then because I've done all of that other stuff, once I found stand up, and realize like, oh no, this is what I've really wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything I've done is because I want to do stand up.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's awesome. I mean, you definitely have a knack for it. Like even I mean, I've seen people perform for way longer than you have that don't have the. I keep going back to the term the voice, but it makes sense. Like you know what you're supposed to sound like, and you know how. It sounds like a Derrick Murray joke is a Derrick Murray joke, not just in writing but in performance, and that's really cool. Yeah, absolutely. I was watching it and I couldn't really like. Typically, this is such a douchey thing to say. I'm not a stand-up, so I shouldn't really judge. But I definitely will watch like up and coming stand-ups. And I'm like, oh, you're doing Chappelle, or you're doing this person, or you're doing that person. Like, yeah. I say Chappelle. I just watched somebody MC an event and was just like doing Chappelle at every turn. I was like, well, it's still entertaining, but it's clearly Chappelle.
I'm a comic and I do the same thing. Like it's hard for me to even watch comedy now. Just because you're around it so much. But like,
Yeah.
I'll watch guys and I'll be like, oh, you love Bill Burr, or
Yep.
like, George Carlin's clearly your favorite guy. Is like, oh yeah, you're not quite Dave Chappelle, but keep trying. Like I do that all the time. So
Yeah, music for me has been sufficiently ruined. Like it's really hard to listen to music now because I'm just like, oh, I know what that is. I pick that apart, and it's just like I can't. You know what it is? I think it's when you really get into that art form. In order to actually get good at it, I've heard a lot of comics and musicians say you got to get obsessed with it, which makes perfect sense.
yeah,
But like in getting obsessed with it, I think there's another piece, which is you are always thinking about your art form 24/7, especially
right.
when you're in the presence of other people doing that art form, and that kind of takes you out of the present. You can't get present with any of it unless you're doing it because you're always learning. It's like you're studying 24/7 for your art form.
Always.
Yeah.
Yep, I completely agree.
Yeah. And so so it sounds like you bounced around a little bit and you found stand up to be. So once you found stand up, is that what do you I guess how often you go up? That's the best question to start with.
Well, currently I still work full time.
Yeah. Which is my next question. Yeah.
I would love it, but no, I do not do stand up full time yet. So I still work full time, but I work retail, so my schedule fluctuates constantly. So it affords me a couple things. One, it does afford me a relatively flexible schedule to get up. I try to get up about 4 to 5 times a week, if possible.
Yeah.
And it also, because it pays really well, because it's like sales, I can afford to travel without having to worry about like it breaking me.
So you're that kind of people person. You can sell shit. You're a good salesman.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. That explains big time your ability to perform naturally. Like, I've met.
Yeah, I can tell.
I feel like comedians are either really, really good salesmen or they make the worst salesman in the fucking world. Yeah, boy, whatever.
It is kind of, yeah, it's either one or the other. So, yeah. But yeah, so I try to get up about 4 to 5 times a week.
How often in LA, or do you just? Because I know you mentioned that.
I try to stay out of LA. I shouldn't because nobody fucking knows me because I'm not in LA. But I try to kind of stay away from LA for right now just because I feel like LA is the place I want to go where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to like feature for someone or headline for someone, or like I'm you know, I've got 5 or 6 years of material. I'm solid. I know I can do an hour without worrying, and then I can go to LA and just kill with little 5 minutes at all the open mics.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, I've been told like you should just do it, like just go to LA because you need to know people. But yeah, I try to. I'd rather drive 7 hours to San Francisco and get there than go to LA sometimes.
That's the other thing about East or West Coast stuff that blows my fucking mind. It's how far away everything is from each other. Like you could do.
Yeah.
I have Baltimore people who are like, yeah, I'll pop in to New York for the weekend and do like 10 mics and then come back, or for the night, whatever. It's 4 hours away. You can hit up like in you could reasonably in like for bands. A lot of bands on the East Coast, like my band included, we would just go like, okay, Baltimore, Philly, Jersey, New York City, and then I don't know wherever the fuck. Like you can hit big cities nonstop, but on the West Coast, especially, I guess if you're, I guess in California it's better because you have better cities to go to. But that's just crazy to me how far apart everything is.
They are pretty far apart though. Like if you're gonna do a mic run, I mean, you can do a mic run and maybe squeeze out 3 or 4 shows depending on how early you start.
Yeah.
But that's really about it. Like it's not like, because I know in the East Coast, like I've had people go over there and they'll hit 10 mics in a night, like just bouncing all around. And I'm like, you can't do that in LA. Like even LA or any of the neighboring cities, like you just won't. There's just not enough time. You can get 3 to 4 at the most, but you're right. Everything's about an hour away from each other, but like, if you start a mic at 5 and then you get out by 6 and then you try to hit one an hour away at 7, like your night's going to run out by the time you get to, midnight or so.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Well, at least those LA ones are more high impact based on the crowd. Definitely heard some horror stories about mics that remind me very much of my starting out in music days of, you're playing for the sound guy and the manager. And 2 asshole drunks in the back who did not realize there was going to be entertainment tonight, and they're not having it.
Oh, yeah. I've for sure done those shows.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, okay, so do you do anything beyond stand-up comedy-wise? Or you're in LA, you're close to LA. Are you writing anything? Are you web series, podcasts, any of that stuff?
Yeah, no, I actually, my friend and I, we actually run a show called the Jack of All Nerds Show.
I like that title a lot.
Yeah, which is basically just that. It's just we cover all things nerd. We have a live radio show on Sundays on Chaotic Radio. So we do that from 8 to 10, and then we do like 4 different like podcasts. Like we do British movie reviews. We have one called Moon's Over My Podcast, where it's just me and him, and we invite a guest, and we just talk about whatever, but we do it at Denny's.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Oh,
yeah.
That's delicious.
So, and then we go to we have a bunch of other people that we work with that do like off-site events, and we do all the cons out here. So I do a lot of that kind of stuff, like a lot of nerd stuff, and that I enjoy the hell out of that. That's so much fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool. What's your poison? What's your nerdy poison?
Ooh,
I told you mine, and mine's embarrassing as shit.
It's hard for me because I really do hold the title of Jack of All Nerds. Like I love everything a little bit. So there's nothing where it's like I could say I enjoy games, like I'm a gamer, but like I'm the type of gamer that's like, oh, I want to play that game, and I'll play that game until I'm done with it, and then find something else. I don't play 8 games in a row.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like games, movies, comics. I won't do Dungeons and Dragons. My partner will do Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Like Mike will still do that. But I can't do it because I know I'll like it.
That's like me and like cocaine or heroin or something.
Yeah, it really is what it is, because I know as soon as I go, I'm gonna love it, and now I'm gonna be a Dungeons and Dragons nerd, and I don't know if I can go that far.
Hey, it's fantasy football for nerds, so it works out.
That's exactly what it is. Yes.
Man. All right. So okay, well that's fucking great, dude. Okay. So how did you make this? Okay. So you're the first comedian I've had who I think I'm more interested in your life story than I am in the stand-up right now.
No problem.
How did you? Okay. So So after high school, did you go to college? I mean, this youth pastor thing is throwing a whole like wrench into my assumption of your timeline.
I did. So I went to college. I actually went to college to be a pastor. So I went to Azusa Pacific University, which is a private university, and I studied religion. Like my major is Christian ministries with a minor in religion and philosophy. So totally irrelevant things to what I'm doing now.
Philosophy with comedy today is pretty relevant, though, I think.
Yeah, I've forgotten most of it, but
fair.
I do enjoy it. I do enjoy a good philosophical / religious conversation. So that's what I went to college for. Like that's what I wanted to do. And I did it for a little bit while I was working, and then I got hired in Santa Rosa to be an actual youth pastor. And I just remember I fucking hated it. I hated it. It was so I did all this work and all this studying, and I kind of just realized like, oh, it's just a job. It's not any different than anything else. Like everybody's exactly the same. Like your bosses suck. It's still a corporation.
Is your what God?
Yeah, right. Like everything about it. I was just like, oh, I kind of just pulled the curtain back and was like, oh yeah, there's nothing different about this.
I'm just picturing your typical youth pastor with the guitar singing songs, being like, hey, I'm just like you teens, and then like they all leave, and he's like the downtrodden artist, just. I can't.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much how it was. Plus, I could never get rid of like any of because my school was a little bit more liberal than most. So I couldn't get rid of like normal vices that you should get rid of as a youth pastor, like drinking.
Like what?
Yeah, like drinking and sex and those kinds of things. Like I just couldn't get rid of those at all. And also where I lived like walking distance to the best microbrewery up north.
Yeah.
So like I would like
field trip, everybody.
Yeah, I would wait until I knew all of my kids were asleep, and then I'd just go and get fucking hammered at the Russian River.
I'm having a baby soon. That's gonna remind me of my life. Wait till all my kids are asleep, and then just go get hammered. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do. I just kind of realized like, oh yeah, this is not what I want, and I don't know that this is really where I want my life to go. So I just quit, and I was like, I'm out. Came back down here, got a job in retail, and then spent about a year just doing retail and hanging out and enjoying life, and then shortly after that, I discovered comedy, and it's kind of been that ever since.
All right. So how long were you youth pastor for?
I was officially like a full-time youth pastor for a year, but I was like an intern / like co-youth pastor for one of my local churches for like 2 or 3 years, pretty much all throughout college.
So are you still religious?
No, not at all.
Okay, this is so interesting to me. So did you? God damn, really the Pete Holmes path.
I know.
Did you lose faith in the religion as you lost faith in the dream or how did that happen? Because it seems like to me, just from an outsider's perspective, my family at large is Catholic, but my immediate family is all atheist and agnostic. So I didn't grow up with any religion. I grew up with my friends at school telling me I was going to hell, but that's about it. But like, you weren't baptized? I don't know what that is. Well, burn. So like so the way I imagine it is that you either lose faith in the dream and you go do something else but continue on believing what you believe in, or you lose faith in the religion, which causes you to lose faith in the job. So how did that happen for you? Did that happen at the same time, or was there, I don't know, a domino effect?
I think it was probably a domino effect. The latter was probably more accurate. I remember, so because the school...
We were quoting Eddie Murphy bits growing up, so I mean, you got...
Yeah, I know, right? So for me, I've always been the type of person to just ask a lot of questions. which is fine when you're in college. Like even at my school, it was totally okay to ask like questions, and they did a really good job in just kind of like uprooting a lot of stuff. And you weren't really supposed to be a Bible thumper when you were there. Like they were very, very cool about like, yeah, no, this shit doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. There's no answer for it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. And it was fine, and that's all great, and a lot of that kind of helped like restore, kind of change the way I believed things, but I still believed it. The hardest transition is taking all of that and then going into a church where no one knows any of that stuff. So you'll sit there and you'll listen to a pastor reading this passage that you just learned is total bullshit. And you're just like, you're watching this whole congregation like just cry over this thing, and you're like, wait, but no, that's not what it means. They're twisting it. So it was really hard to just turn that off. Yeah. So I think as I kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it, those questions and that like big disparity just kind of got larger and larger and larger, to where once I had the job, I'd already kind of started to be like, I don't know if I really believe in all of this, but this is all I've wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then as I got the job, it was like, okay, well, this job is awful, and I'm tired of asking these questions to people that don't have answers. Yeah. And I just kind of walked away from everything. And I'll tell you this, and I've told some of my old Christian friends this, the longer I was away from religion, the less I missed it.
Wow, that's heavy. Well, thank you for telling me that, and I'm going to refer to myself as your old Christian friend now. We're old Christian friends, back in those days. Well, no, that's incredible. Like, okay, and I'm asking these in all the wrong order, but gotta be honest, didn't expect your backstory to be as interesting as it is. What made you want to be a youth pastor in the first place, or a pastor in general? Yeah,
I grew up kind of religious, but not really. So like my parents when my parents divorced, my mom was like, she was like spiritual, I guess. Mm-hmm. I hate using that word, but
I know
that's the closest I can describe it. So she was so she was spiritual, but she was also like, my mom was like a really cool mom, and like she kind of just let you do whatever you wanted. And so she like that house was just very open, and you could pretty much go nuts and cuss and do whatever you want. It was fine. But then my dad was a lot more strict, and my dad was like, I'm not your friend, I'm your goddamn father.
Very religious, that one.
Yeah, totally religious. So he was really religious, and because of that, like I went to church every week. I went to all the summer camps. Like I just kind of always been in religion, and I think it was really my deep-rooted I guess need to be in front of people that might have pushed me to do that. And because that was all I knew, it was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just go do this. But I had wanted to do it for a long time, even though I had like a love of drinking and sex and all this kind of stuff. I still really enjoyed like pastorship. I enjoyed people listening to me. I enjoyed like making a statement. I was caught up in that whole world. I really enjoyed it when I was in it. And
what did your mom think about that choice?
My mom was one of those people who like just whatever you wanted to do, she was like in total support. So she was all excited that I was going to be a pastor, and because she was so spiritual, like she grew up Mormon and then left the Mormon church and just became like this spiritual Christian who was totally cool with people doing drugs type of thing. It was weird. Yeah. She had a weird look on life, I feel like. But she totally supported it, and like she had no problem with it. I mean, both of my parents supported it. I think my dad was actually kind of afraid because there's no money in being a pastor. So my dad was like, "How are you going to support a family?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't care."
You're the religious parent. Was the one who was like, "Wait a minute, it's too much."
Yeah. Right. He was like, "You're sure you want to do this with your life?" And I was like, "Well, I have $90,000 in student loans." And say yes.
Oh man. Okay, so, God, that's so interesting. And again, thank you for telling me all that. I know that's some real shit, but it sounds like you found out that the mechanism at some point you figured out the mechanism of wanting to go that specific route, because there are a lot of different routes you could go if you're just religious. But that specific route, the mechanism was you liked the attention, but you also wanted to make a statement, and you enjoyed public speaking or entertaining in some fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, which I think is really, really what planted the seed to want to do stand-up. And I think that's why I fell in love with stand-up so quickly, was because it allows me to do all of those things. Like, I get to public speak, I get to make a statement, I get to be in front of people, I get to perform, people listen to me. I am doing something for them, whether it's just laughing at a dumb joke or making some kind of statement that, like, they never thought about. Like, all of that is what stand-up is.
Yeah.
It just took me 28 years to figure out, like, oh yeah, that's what I want to do.
And if you're gonna be in a field that's risky as far as making money, you might as well tell dick jokes.
Yeah, right. Like, why read a book written 2,000 years ago when you can just tell poop and fart jokes? Like, that's way better.
Dude, I cannot stop picturing, like, as you described, like being an intern at the youth pastor thing, and I kept thinking, like, what if that was like open mic nights, and you're just getting heckled by little Christian kids? You're just like, I'm trying my best. But yeah, like, I don't come to your house when you're on your knees praying, and never mind. But like,
I don't change the song for you.
Yeah. But yeah, so okay, so going specifically into, like, I watched you had a 10-minute bit up, and you had, or bit, whatever, 10-minute like feature spot up. Was that an open mic, or was that?
I'm trying to think. Was it the overtime one?
Shit. Hold on, let me look it back up. I forget. I could probably recite every single bit that you did, but I can't remember what the backdrop behind you the whole time was.
What's the first bit? And I'll tell you what video it
was. Call me out on that shit. God damn it. Well, here's the thing. I don't remember what the first one was, but I do remember. No, it was funeral. It was a funeral homes, caskets, and more.
Oh, okay, that's old. That's an old video.
Yeah, it's good, but yeah. You definitely look different in all the other videos I watched.
You do what?
You look different in the other videos that I watched, because I saw like a couple 1-minute ones, a 5-minute one, but I don't remember the backdrops.
Okay. I feel like I want to take of those down because I don't do almost any of that material anymore. Well, I don't think I do any of it. I think there's maybe one video of me in like a Star Wars shirt. That
was a 5-minute one.
Yeah, okay. So the 5-minute one is more current. Even that stuff I still do, but I do it differently and in a much different order. But all the other videos are like, especially that 10-minute one with caskets and more, that's actually from, like, I think my first year.
Jeez, wow. That's good stuff. Was that some of the stuff in your first 15 minutes?
Yeah, actually, it was.
Yeah, solid. Like, solid. I mean, it is, and it's cool to hear that you're progressing, because it's like, what's it called? And I promise I mean this as a compliment. It reminds me of the Patton Oswalt bit where he talks about, like, a lot of open micers when they're starting out, they're funny, but who cares? 'Cause in the sense that it's like every joke makes you laugh, but it's not telling a story, or it's not like having a deeper philosophical. Those, I'm not gonna change my life because of it, but it's really funny.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. No, and that's actually something that I've kind of started to look at, is where I might think of a joke and I'm like, oh, that's really funny, but what's the point? Like, what am I trying to say in this joke? Like, what am I trying to get across? Like, I'm working on a bit about like, the joke is about sports fans, and how sports fans is like the only times where you can just like completely lose your shit and everybody's just like, oh yeah, it's totally fine. Like, nobody cares what you do as a sports fan. Like, you can do whatever you want. Like, you can break your own TV, flip your table, hit your wife, like, and everyone's just like, oh, he's a sports fan.
This jersey.
Like, nobody cares what you like. People have been stabbed for liking the wrong team, and everyone's like, yeah, well, you shouldn't have been a fan. That's your fault. Like, nobody cares about it.
Should have gone to a Raiders game.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, to me, like, I can tell that joke and, like, yeah, it's funny, it's got some good tags or whatever. But what I'm really trying to say is, like, anybody that's passionate about anything, as long as they're passionate about it, humanity tends to just give people a pass. So whether it's religion, whether it's
honesty. People recognize honesty or not. Yeah.
Yeah. people just kind of like let you do whatever as long as you're passionate about it. And so that's kind of more. There's a deeper thing that I'm saying, and I'm trying to learn how to like get that into the joke so that people get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. God, that's really cool that you're able to find, like, I think that's where the funny is. You can find a funny premise, and then you're trying to make it mean something because you're having your own unique perspective that's seeing it as deeper than just like, oh, here's something funny I saw, but you're taking it to that next level.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right, by the way. It's like people show up to a game and they put on a jersey and like, no, this is like, they flash their jersey like it's a fucking diplomatic immunity, like, for a diplomat. They're just like, no, I can break your laws.
Yeah, we will let them do whatever they want because they're passionate about their team. They're rooting for people they've never fucking met before. Yeah. Like we
won. How much training did you do for that victory?
Yeah, all the silly superstitions people do. I'm not a sports fan, so for me, like, I can just watch them act like hooligans and be like, it's not socially acceptable for anything else except when you're a sports fan. Like, you can't just like be a fan of sandwiches and like paint yourself in like Subway colors and just like start rooting inside a Subway. But like, no one's gonna let you do that.
People are gonna think you're on a soccer team then.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Every soccer team's colors is Subway colors, as far as I'm concerned. Green and yellow, and maybe white and red.
Yep.
Okay, so with that first bit, I'm glad you don't do, this actually makes me feel better about talking about it if you don't do a lot of those bits, because then I'm not that this podcast is a huge LA fan base or anything, but you're not gonna burn any bits or anything on this.
Oh yeah, no.
But like, but there were 2 bits that you did in that first 10 minutes that I watched. I watched a bunch after that, but those first 10 and this is just me talking to you. I don't even know if anyone's gonna find this interesting, but like, I related to it on the weirdest fucking levels. On levels I never thought I would relate to something on. You talked about how you're half black, half white, right?
Uh-huh.
And you talk about how everybody in California thinks you're Mexican. Or period, I guess. Yeah. So, I'm Italian. My last name is Navarro. I have not an ounce of Spanish blood in me as far as we can trace back. But Navarro is fucking Smith in Mexico. And you talked about people who come up to you and start speaking Spanish and then look at you like, whatever it is, like you like fuck their daughter and they're quinceañera.
Oh, yeah.
They looked at you basically like you're a horrible person when you admit that you don't speak Spanish and that you're not Hispanic. So ever since I started wearing a suit to work, anytime I go to a deli or hang out with or see the cleanup crew, whatever it is, basically the people who are Hispanic in my building, sad to say. Yeah. But they always come up to, if for any reason, especially like if I was like at the deli is where I mostly think about it because I'd hand them my credit card and they see my name, they get so excited that a dude in a suit has thinks I'm Mexican, and when I tell them I'm not, they get so disappointed, like I just like brought down their whatever their culture or their race, and like so now I just lie and say that I am. And I'm just like, no, fine, you can have this one. You can live the dream, I guess. But I never thought I'd relate to that shit.
Yeah, that happens all the time. Because I get it. I don't look black. And I was raised by white people. So for me, like my whole family, they're all white. Everybody in my family is white. So
wait, where does the black come in then?
Okay, so my mom. Before my mom met my dad, she was actually pregnant with me.
Okay, gotcha.
So they met while I was pregnant, or while she was pregnant. They met, and then they got married shortly after I was born. So my entire family is white. Like, both of my brothers are white. Like, everybody in my family is white. So it's, like, I talk white, I act white most of the time. I had a little bit of an identity crisis at like the beginning of high school where it was like, I don't know who I should hang out with.
In middle school, like all my friends were either black or Asian, and when we got to high school, like everybody like just ran away. I was like, where'd everybody go? Because now there was an Asian table and a black table, and I was like, oh, I'm not kidding at all.
Gets divided by race.
Yeah, and I mean that's interesting with the whole identity crisis thing. Well, there was another bit that you said that I related to. Two of the guys in my band are half black, half white. And so you did a joke about saying the N-word when you see black people around, and people freak out because they're like, oh, do they not know that you're black? That's what my band does to fuck with me all the time. They'll just like... And I was like, holy shit, this dude would fit in so well with my band. Like, it's insane.
Oh, that's so funny.
But no, it's just crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, those are some of the first jokes that I ever wrote about being, and I'll do like I'll do different variations of them. Like now, like if I have to do, 30 plus, I don't have enough new material to fill 30 minutes. So I'll take.
How often would you do 30 minutes?
What's up?
How often would you do like close to 30 minutes?
When I get booked to go outside of LA, like if I go up north to Northern California, or if I get booked out of state, or if I'm doing, I know a lot of like I'd call them like booked open mics, where it's like they put a lineup together, but it's really just anybody that wants to come by. So in those rooms, I know I have a bunch of those types of rooms where I can just go and do as much time as I want. Like nobody's gonna stop me.
That's awesome.
So I've done 45 before.
Yeah.
And then I typically get booked for anywhere from 10 to 20 now. I typically don't get booked for less.
Yeah. Wow, I was gonna ask how much time you usually do. That's really awesome. So how often do you play those kind of shows?
I'm trying to think of it's usually I'll have like one or two of those a week or so.
Oh, that's good.
And then when I'm trying to work out, like that's when I get to like, 4 or 5 nights. So if I'm like, I have 6 new premises that I really want to work on, but I just need to talk them through. There's a booked open mic show by my house. So I'll just drive up there. I can just pop in and he'll just throw me on, and he won't ever like me.
Yeah.
Like when I'm done, I'm done. Like that's me popping in at the Comedy Store type thing. That's kind of how I do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I get to do stuff like that, which is really helps a lot in kind of developing new material and that kind of thing.
So in a way, in certain areas, you're the shit, right?
No, not at all.
No, I mean, I know no comic ever wants to say anything positive about themselves, because then everybody else is like, well, fuck you. But that's really impressive. That's very, very impressive. Like, at the heart of hearts, like, from an outsider looking in, it's like, wow, that's extremely impressive. But, okay, well, so, okay, that's cool. So so what are your, I guess, plans for the future? You're just going to keep on trekking and hope to keep working your way through?
Yeah, I've taken a lot of advice from like higher ups and people that like I respect, and the base of everybody that's ever been successful in stand up, all of them have just been like, basically just be funny, be cool, and do everything. Like don't put all your eggs in the stand up basket. Like do a podcast, do web sketches, go on shitty auditions for commercials, like whatever. Just do everything, because what's going to happen eventually is you're going to get a job that's going to fund your stand-up instead of get in the way of your stand-up. So 90% of the guys you see, they were all writers, they were all actors, they were all something else that allowed them to do stand-up. So that's kind of what I want to do. So like for something like this, when someone's like, hey, I do a podcast, talk to comics, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was just saying that's what's funny is I stopped doing interviews because I was originally just doing bands, and people kept being flaky or being like, oh, I don't know about it, and then I even like asked a couple like some comics, and I got like very little response, and this all locally, because I wasn't doing it over Hangouts. And at one point I was talking to my dad, my dad's a famous jazz musician. That's why we were out in L.A. Like he was playing on like major label records and shit. But like but he told me, he was like, well, no offense, but you're only really targeting people in Baltimore. Like they didn't even move out of their town to go try to make it. I was like, oh fuck. He was like, yeah, and he was like, if you're gonna do your podcast, no matter how small, that means that they're not. If no one else is really, or whatever, if they're not like a seriously in-demand entertainer, you should be doing everything. It doesn't fucking matter. And I thought about that for me, because with music stuff, I don't give a shit what radio show, podcast, or like small blog that you have. If you want to do something on my band and you want to talk to me, I'll give you all the time in the world. Like,
absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
That's just makes it. And now that I have like a lot of people like you who actually hustle, which I think is why, like, I'll see these YouTube videos of people who've been like, yeah, I'm doing it 3-4 years, and they're solid. Like, you were fantastic. Like, which is really, and I think that's just a testament to your work ethic. And the fact that not only would you come on a podcast you've never heard of, but like you've only been doing it 3 years, and you're able to just jump on. You're able to jump on spots. It's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, man. I think for anything that you want to do, like, just do everything. Like you said, if somebody wants to talk to you about what you love, like, why would you say no to that?
Yeah,
like,
isn't that what you just want to do? Yeah.
It doesn't matter if like you're the only 2 people that are ever going to hear it, or the only 2 people that are ever going to read the blog post about it. Who cares? Like, you're doing something. Somebody has an interest in what you're doing, and they want to talk to you for a certain period of time. Like, and that's why I love doing this, and I love doing anything that somebody asks me to do that's not like directly stand-up. I really enjoy doing it. I love the Jack of All Nerds show. Like, it's one of my favorite things inside. And I've met, like, I got to meet Carrie Ells from The Princess Bride through that nerd show.
That's so cool. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, like, so stuff like that, like, I wouldn't get to do that if all I was doing was stand-up, and I was like, no, I don't have time to do anything else. Like, I just burned myself out on the mic, but I get to do all these other cool things, and that kind of stuff is like, okay, well, and I'm not saying this will ever happen, but, like, God, what if my podcast, that show, gets actually picked up, and we get paid to do that show? Yeah. Okay, well, now that's one less job I have to work, and now my podcast is funding my stand-up.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's what I always think with my dream, is because I'm trying to, like, I've always been trying to do a bunch of different shit, but I'm like, man, if I could make enough money to work 1 day less a week at my career job, and just do, like, have 8 hours a day, like, if I could podcast for 8 hours a day, like, holy shit, that'd be fantastic. Like, that'd be like the dream come true. That's all I need. But no, that's exactly right. That's such a healthy attitude to have. So before I let you go, I gotta ask, you're in California. Are there any, like, famous people you've randomly gotten to open up for, or do stand up on a bill with?
I'm trying to think, because I don't go out to LA very often, so I don't get to see a lot of pop-ins. Most of the people I think most of the people I've opened for, no one's ever heard of.
Okay.
I did get to open for Andy Dick, which he's something else. I don't know if he counts, but
no, he counts. He counts as far, dude. As far as people are concerned about, they just want. It's almost like they just want you to say a name that they've heard, doesn't matter from where, and then they'll check you out. That's in my experience. That's really it. They just want to be tangentially related to fame, and then they'll pay attention to you a little bit.
All right, that's fine. That's fair. We'll leave it at Andy Dick then.
Okay, well, in that case, you have a good Andy Dick story. Please tell me what happened at this event. He's a big fan of this podcast too. He'd love to hear it.
Yeah, well, I know, right? He was actually sober when he showed up to the show, so he was actually very nice. Yeah, I know. My friend has a better one. I forgot what his was. My friend opened for him also. And Andy Dick was definitely not
nice.
Off the wagon at that. Like, he was for sure just out of his fucking mind. And he has a great story about it. Mine is like, he was so, like, nice and cordial and respectful and didn't do anything out of control. And I was like, well, shit, that sucks. Like,
yeah,
I wanted the crazy Andy Dick.
I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw the video recently of Afro Man slapping a fan.
Oh, yeah. My friend, one of my good friends, opened for Afro Man, actually.
I opened for him in 06, 07, probably 06. And the real winner of... and here's me and your friend, we're the real winners of this Afro Man scandal. Because now when we say that we opened up for Afro Man, people remember what the fuck we're talking about. Afro Man slapping that girl retroactively gave both your friend and I a credit.
That's great. Yeah, the only other thing I did a TV episode with Jay Moore.
Really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
awesome.
The show was called Money Where Your Mouth Is, and it was like a Hulu Plus show that he was doing, and he was like the host of the show, and it was
a
me and my
stand-up
two
show?
friends. What's up?
Was it a stand-up show?
No, actually, it
Really?
was it was just like a TV episode. Me and my two friends we were all nerds, and we just
Okay, I gotcha.
yeah, we just compete for other people for our stuff. Like that's all it was. But he was the nicest dude in the world. He was so cool and a lot of fun to work with. Super funny. So yeah, that was cool. That's my TV credit, I guess.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. That's really cool. I'm gonna have to. Can you dig that up? Is that just on Hulu?
I think it's just on Hulu. I think if you just go to I think it's Hulu or Hulu Plus. If you just type in "Money Where Your Mouth Is," my
I have a
episode is
career. I have Hulu Plus. It's okay. We're okay.
Yeah. It's the Nerds episode, and I'm on it.
Nice. Oh, that's fucking awesome. All right, sweet. Well, hey, we're at about an hour, so I guess we'll wrap up. But I just want to say thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
And thanks for having me, man. This was a lot of fun.
And I'm gonna have to listen to that nerd podcast you do because that sounds fucking fantastic and right up my alley.
Oh yeah, man, check it out. We do all kinds of stuff, and then when we do the show, you can call in anytime. So if we talk about something you love, like just call in, and we'll talk about it with you.
Can I talk about how it's very depressing to me that nerd is like in right now, but if I say I play Magic, I still get ostracized.
Oh yeah, no, I know. That's why I can't do Dungeons and Dragons just yet. Still uncool to do everything else. If you want to, because I'll cosplay.
Close.
Yeah, if you want
cosplay is more in than card. God damn it! I want to flip.
Isn't that crazy? It's crazy, but that's because hot girls.
Fucking table.
That's because hot girls cosplay. That's why.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, well, subpar, not subpar. Middling models looking for work cosplay.
Yes. Yes.
It's the equivalent to the Hooters section of the damn convention.
Yeah, and there are some fantastic, like, sexy cosplayers that I've met that, like, they do it for a living, but they make all their own shit, and they're
brilliant cosplayers or whatever.
Yeah, they're brilliant cosplayers, but they're gorgeous. Like, they're gorgeous, gorgeous women. But then there's also the girls that are like, oh, look, I'm Roger Rabbit, and I'm wearing mouse ears. Like,
I'm Roger Rabbit. Jessica Rabbit, maybe.
Yeah, they just, I don't know. They just wear their Halloween costume that they bought at the Halloween shop, which is just a porn shop. And that's how, I'm like, that's not cosplay, honey. You're in the wrong place.
That's what I love about a lot of my nerdy friends who, they'll go to these conventions and take pictures with the straight up just models who are they're hired to be there or whatever. They'll take pictures and I'll be like, those are models, right? And they're like, I don't give a shit. Of course not. I don't care. What do you think? Like when I watch porn, I think it's my dick. No, I don't. It's okay. Jesus.
That's funny. I met a porn star once, actually.
Really?
Yeah, at the Comedy Store.
Oh, nice. How's my prom date doing? my prom date went on to a lucrative career as a white trash. Never mind. Anyway, yeah. So tell me about that.
No, I want to hear your story. Jesus.
No, it's exactly what you think. I'm gonna be an actress. I'm a porn star. Now I'm a stripper.
Wow.
That's how.
Is she really successful though?
No. I mean, well, she doesn't listen to this. No. Ask any of her kids. This is so mean. I should say she was nice to me. She cheated on me. Fuck her. God damn it.
Oh, that's so great. I love it. No, I met Tegan Presley. I don't know if you know who that is.
I'd have to see a picture.
I don't know that she does porn anymore. I think she might have retired.
At 28.
Yeah. I was doing a show at the Comedy Store, and she was there. And it was funny because I've told this joke before, but it was funny because when I didn't know, like, there were a bunch of porn stars there, but I didn't know that they were going to be there. So she walked by, and I was like, fuck, I totally know that girl. Where do I know her from? And I'm sitting there, and I'm, like, trying to rack my brain about why the hell she looks so familiar.
Was it youth pastor school?
Dude, I went through all. I was like, is she a friend from high school? Like, Have we done shows together? Like, where do I know this girl from? And then all of a sudden, like, a bolt of lightning hit my head, and I was like, oh shit! I've seen things done to her that like aren't good.
I don't think that was a bolt of lightning that hit anybody's head.
It hit the tip of my dick too, but it's totally fine. Yeah, so I was like, okay, well now that I know who she is, like I have to go meet her. And then one of the jokes I tell is like, how do you just go up and meet a porn star? Like she's not at a convention, she's not like you just go up and you're like, hey, I'm a big fan of the way you suck dick, like, work is top notch. But no, she was actually really cool. So I went up and just said,
hey, she was cool. The question was, how cool were you?
I was super cool. I was very calm and collected. I felt like it was still creepy. But there's nothing it wasn't creepy. Like she's just at the store trying to watch a show out in the front, and here comes this dude that's like, hey, I used to masturbate to you. Like it's creepy. Like there's no way around it. But I couldn't not.
Hey, you're using her for more. And once again, when you're doing crowd work, you're using her for material, but in a different way this time.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's all good. She's, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, I'm glad we're ending on a porn. This is good.
Yeah, exactly. On a very hard note. All right, well, thank you so much for coming on, dude. And please, I'll put this up probably in the next month or so. And if you could send me on Facebook, just hit me up with any links that I can post for you when I post the episode, and I'll just throw them up. Yeah, absolutely. And do you have any gigs in about 4 to 6 weeks you can promote, or I can just throw them up when you go up?
I have some stuff towards the end of April.
That'll probably be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I'll be up north. It's in a place called Volcano. California. It's at the Volcano Inn. I'm headlining there, nice. And then I'm doing a TV taping the following morning.
Holy shit! For what? This is where is all this coming from?
No, awesome. Hold on. There's only like 115 people according to the census in Volcano, so it's not as glamorous as it sounds. But no, it's the person who puts it on. Like he owns the restaurant, so he hosts a comedy show there every month. And then he also does like a local TV station, and it's a morning show. And so whenever he does the show, the following morning he has the comic that headline. He has them come on and do 5 minutes for their live audience or whatever.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's really cool. I've always found, at least in music, the small towns where nobody has anything else to do. Those are the places where people actually go see live entertainment. So that might be a gold mine.
Yeah, I love those kinds of things. They're so fun. So I'm excited for that. So that's April 23rd.
Nice. All right, awesome. And well, again, thanks for coming on. I'm doing the Italian goodbye where you keep saying goodbye and you never actually leave. But all right, cool, man. Well, thanks again, and I'll let you know if you're interested. I do this like once a week. I'll have just a bunch of comics who've already been on just come on and do like a 5-person Google Hangout. We just shoot the shit and bust balls and stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it.
All right, cool. I will catch your nerdy podcast, Nerd of All Trades, or is it Jack of All Nerds?
Jack of All Nerds.
Jack of All Nerds. And yeah, send me those links, dude.
I will, man.
All right. I'll catch you later. See ya.
Have a good one. Bye.